Hey everyone, I want to thank you for tuning in. It's another week of Bush Leagueness. Before we start, me personally, I kind of wanted to say this to the end of the show, but I didn't want to end it on a bad note. I wanted to keep this kind of uplifted and everything, but something happened in our nation, and we want to give our hearts and condolences out to everyone in Charleston that's been affected. One thing that touched me, and we're not going to talk about this too much, just something that needs to be said. Quote from John Stewart is that Al-Qaeda, all those guys, ISIS, they're not shit compared to the damage that we can apparently do to ourselves on a regular basis. So again, we want to give just our prayers and thoughts to everyone in Charleston. And we're going to get back to our show, and we're going to start with E3. And our resident gamer, Chris, is going to kick us off. So, Chris.
Yeah, I've watched E3 for the last 4 or 5 years, and I'm always super excited about it. And this E3, I was thumbs up for pretty much most of it. If I had to pick conferences, which one was the best one, I'd have to go with Sony, not only because I own a PS4, it's just because of Microsoft. I will hand it to them for showing more like hardcore games, more console-based games, since PlayStation did show some kiddie stuff. But overall, PlayStation gave the fans what they wanted. And Nintendo, all their remakes and stuff, kind of looked graphic-wise, So, I mean, that's when I saw Star Fox, I was super pumped for it. I'm like, oh yeah, Star Fox! No. It was looked like an N64 graphic game, and I was kind of upset with it.
I'm going to go ahead and chime in. This is Matt, Clever Bacon. I'm going to go ahead and say I've been super excited about this year's E3 for a very long time, and I've taken in as much as possible this year. I was very excited about this year because there's a lot of things coming. There's a lot of things coming out this year as far as hardware, software, new games, new IPs, existing IPs, things that are coming out that are just remakes that we've been waiting on forever. I absolutely agree. Sony killed it this year. Microsoft came out Monday morning and I was excited. I was pumped. I was like, this is awesome. New games, a new Gears. HoloLens is mind-blowing. There is no piece of hardware there like the HoloLens. We've got the new Tomb Raider that's going to be exclusive on the One for a while. Microsoft did a really good job that morning, but I was blown away by Sony that evening. There is no one that has had a better conference than Sony, except for maybe Bethesda, and that may be my bias.
I will say, though, with Bethesda, I was very impressed. It was their very first conference ever in E3, and to me, they killed it.
They did.
Not only ending it with Fallout, but all the content they gave out for Fallout, also with the in-game app that you can use, and of course the release of their the
new
Shelter Vault.
Yeah, the new Vault app that just came out that I have not been able to put down.
It looks awesome.
Where's
and
my
then
phone?
and then even their announcement for what is it called? Battle Cry? I can't remember, but it's technically the MOBA. Their MOBA version where it's like 4v4 with minions and stuff. Oh,
Couldn't tell you, man.
I can't remember, but it looked cool. But it was the same. It was the same concept as Battleborn from 2K.
Okay.
And I thought that was really cool that Bethesda was trying to do the same thing. And then also the announcement of Elder Scrolls Legends, which I feel like Mr. Kevin here will get a kick out of since he plays Gwent all the time on Witcher.
So question.
I just kind of want to chime in on the Legends things. I wish people would, if they're going to continue an IP of some game they've already done 2 or 3 times, stop calling it Legends. I mean, what is it about, hey, we don't have a new idea, here's this new game of something you played 3 or 4 times with Legends at the end of it.
That makes it so much better.
Right.
So question about the big conferences. You both agree that Sony killed it, and I'm not going to disagree. I'm sure everybody in here who watched would agree that Sony killed it. My question to both you and Chris, Matt, is did Sony kill it or did Square kill it?
Okay.
Did Square kill Sony's conference, or did Sony do it on their own?
I'm not going to say
Or did
Square
Square
helped
spoiled
it. Because...
I mean, kill it in a good way.
Square had their hand... Okay, Square's like E3. They don't make it, they make it better. So, not E3, sorry. M3.
Yeah.
Tape. Glue. Whatever. So, here's the problem. Yes, Square had an awesome show, and I say that because they were in everything. I mean, they were in everything from Rise of the Tomb Raider on the Xbox One all the way to the epic remake of Final Fantasy
Well,
VII.
actually, let me stop you there. Maybe I need to rephrase the question. Did you like Sony's conference, or were you jonesing over Final Fantasy VII?
I genuinely enjoyed Sony's conference. It was fast-paced. There were no hiccups. They continued the entire time. They kept up the pace throughout. And they had such amazing fanboy things. I seriously wanted to cry on the inside when they brought out Yu Suzuki and started talking about Shenmue. And then and that was right after Final Fantasy VII. I was like, you couldn't have, like, kicked my little kid in the shins and, like, made him sit there and go, Mama! Any better than that.
All right, so Chris, same question to you. Did you like Sony's conference on its own? I mean, if you had taken the Final Fantasy VII announcement, would they have still beat Microsoft?
Yes, I completely agree. I think Sony just annihilated it. They started off with the last Guardian, which people have been wanting for a good while now.
Years.
And especially even after what's the game? Ico?
Eco.
Yeah, Ico. People have been waiting for that game for a while, and it looks gorgeous. And I love the fact that the bird dog or whatever,
The Griffin.
Yeah, I love the fact that it's a pet feeling. Like that's like a dog.
Right.
I love the connection that they showed with that character. And then
you had a confusion with a bird dog and a mythological creature, correct?
words, man.
Okay, I just
You've seen it, right? It looks like a
bird chicken
dog.
Yeah,
It's a griffin.
it acted like a dog, but it had wings.
Yeah. And I just wanted to, a lot of the stuff I read online, I just wanted to get clarification from you two. A lot of people, they couldn't get past Final Fantasy VII.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have one of the original press of Final Fantasy VII up there.
It's like once the world
From the
saw
month
Final
it came
Fantasy
out.
VII, they stopped listening, and I think that was unfortunate because Sony did nail it.
No,
I don't agree with that, mainly because when No Man's Sky appeared, people were blown away just by the scale of it. They already knew it was a really big game.
Right.
But when he started backing up for like 30 seconds, 20 seconds of pure silence, and then everyone started cheering. And then like I already told you guys, I've never played Final Fantasy, so yeah, I was super pumped for all of you guys for Final Fantasy VII.
Well,
I really was. I was super pumped for you guys. But let's say, for instance, Call of Duty. No one here is going to buy it. Not out of us. Out of this group, we don't really give a crap. But you can't admit the fact that that was a game changer. Because Microsoft has had it for years now. It's been in the Microsoft conference for years.
Well,
every single year it's been there. And now out of nowhere, PlayStation has it.
Well, the thing you have to realize about that is it's not a Sony exclusive.
Well, I
They
know
just
it's not a
made it
Sony
look like
exclusive,
it.
but I know people that bought Xboxes just because they're exclusive words.
Exclusivity.
Yes. To play the DLC before anyone else.
Absolutely. I don't know. I may have been the only one who noticed this.
I won't get yelled at.
Square's stock went up 13% 30 seconds after they announced that.
Uh-huh.
I'm still blown away about Shenmue 3, man.
I never played
$2 million in what, 9 hours?
I
Something like that.
never played any of the Shmuya games, but
Me
I was
either,
like you with Final Fantasy and everybody else. I'm ecstatic for the public that they get to play it.
Yeah.
'Cause
Okay, I actually have a question because I'm not a Final Fantasy-er like Chris, but I don't know the terminology for those.
Don't know
For
that
y'all
there is
out there,
one.
I'm sorry if y'all want to kick me in the nuts in public. I understand, but I did watch the I did watch the YouTube video of the reactions of Final Fantasy VII coming out, And I'm curious on how many of those people jumped the bandwagon. Like, is it that big of a deal?
It is.
Yeah.
Is it that okay? Is it
Depends
that
on how old they are, I guess.
They have a big following.
Go ahead.
It is that big of a deal because when it came out, I used to get grounded so much to where that's all I could do was play video games. So I lost. That's what I did. And then when I heard y'all talk about it, and when I saw that it was actually going to be a remake, I was in my car and I was just like,
yes!
Same. I did the same thing. I had the biggest nergasm.
Let me put this into perspective. I'm sorry. Finish.
Because, I mean, it's going to be HD. It's going to be better graphics. It's going to be. I mean, that story was phenomenal, but it was. It
was the emotional attachment.
Yes.
So what made that one better? I'm sorry, this might be a little off topic, but what's that one better than the other 47 they come out with?
This is the first one in this country to hit mainstream.
Well, and it was the first type of game that I had played like that. I had, the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo. They had games like that.
You had both of them?
I had all of them.
Still does.
I did back in the day.
That was the first game that I remember actually buying a system for. I literally went out and bought a PlayStation 1 and traded a bunch of Sega Genesis stuff just to have a PlayStation 1 so I could play that game, and I never regretted it.
I never got to play 7, but I have almost as much emotional attachment to people who have gotten to play because I love those characters. They were Sephiroth, Cloud. I'm probably the biggest fan of Advent Children sitting here. I love that movie.
Yeah, I do too.
That should have been a game.
But to put the Final Fantasy, just Final Fantasy in general, into perspective, it's the very first Final Fantasy I played was Final Fantasy IX.
That is still one of my favorites.
I bought a PS1, not a PlayStation 1. The one that he has right above your head there.
The little mini one?
The little mini one. For that game, memory card, controller, whole nine. I got it home that day. I played for 11 hours straight. I could not find a save spot before I had to go to work. So I paused the game, turned off my TV, and hoped to hell the power didn't go out before I got home. So that's the kind of emotional attachment and response you get out of Final Fantasy.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, even though I've never played them, I can understand how emotional people are over their video games. And I have a friend, shout out to my friend Nathan Mazer. He has one dog named Cloud, he has one dog named Titus, and he named his kid Cypher.
Nice.
I don't know those names.
Those are all Final Fantasy stuff.
Yeah, and it's pretty much.
And on top of that, they've even announced the fact that it's not a remake.
It's a reimagination.
It's a whole new game, but with the Final Fantasy VII storyline and I guess I don't really know.
So that was going to be my next question. Would it be the same, other than the improved graphics and everything? Would it be the same story?
There's going to be more to it than that, but yes.
I would hope.
Same basis, basically.
I would imagine Final Fantasy 13, but in a Final Fantasy 7 form.
I would hope that they make Sephiroth a better evil villain, because as a concept, he was one of the best evil characters I've ever played. But as soon as you get Knights of the Round maxed out, he's dead. Everybody in the game's dead as soon as you get that.
And something else that I didn't realize until I read something later on, the reason that it looked the way it did visually is because they had different teams working on the game, and one wanted to do it in the chibi format, and the other wanted to do it in the new format, and the really cool CG tolerance.
So basically, the cinematics was like those, and then
right,
the gameplay
and the little characters were like standard Final Fantasy. That was something that Final Fantasy IX did really well. There was no transition. You played the characters you saw in the CG.
And that was something Matt and I have talked about before. I've had every opportunity to play Final Fantasy VII. I mean, I can play it on the original system. I can play computer ports. I mean, there's no reason that I can't play it. But I can't get past the graphics because it's not consistent.
You better set aside like 200 hours.
I have 185.
Oh yeah, if you want to get everything.
Yeah.
Well,
I have
hey,
185 hours into Kingdom Hearts 2.
You can't
and I'm
even finish
97%
it
complete. So I know about time investments.
the reason I brought that up is because the remake I feel like we'll see more consistency with it.
Absolutely.
I feel like we will see a new game, but it's something that's near and dear to our heart, and they know that. And I feel like the reason Sony did so well this year is because they really spoke to the fanboys. I mean, like, to a T. They couldn't have done any better.
That was going to bring up my next whole topic thing when it comes to games that should have been announced or even shown. I did not see one thing other than from maybe a side interview demo or in the ending video that Sony showed to close up their conference. Never saw one thing in Metal Gear.
Oh,
I was very shocked about it.
There was Metal Gear later, but not at the Sony conference.
Yeah, it wasn't in the conference, but it's because it's releasing in like...
True,
2 or 3
but you would think that they would show that though, because people have been wanting Phantom Pain for years now.
Right, but I mean, they put out the prologue. I mean, they put that out months ago. It was free this month?
Yeah, this month.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of chatter about it. They don't need to bump up any kind of chatter about that one. People that are Metal Gear fans are going to buy this one. This one is
Absolutely.
the final chapter. This is it.
And now, I got another question. What other companies did you expect to see that you did not see? My main one is Rockstar, because I was hoping for at least a Red Dead definitive edition, or pray to God, not to get in religion, but pray to God that there was a Red Dead Redemption 2 to continue the storyline of Jack, because I was, oh my goodness, that's all I wanted.
They've pushed so much on this whole online aspect of GTA that I feel like that's been like Rockstar's focus for a while now.
But my thing is that they've already announced that it was in the works. It was
Right.
it was in the works. So I expected at least a teaser trailer. No.
The only thing that
like Rockstar symbol.
the
And
only
then
company that was missing for me was Polyphony. I expected to see another Gran Turismo, and we did not get it. They've been hinting that they have a new engine, and nothing. They must not be far enough along.
I'm gonna say I don't think that's gonna come out until you might see it next year. I don't think that's gonna.
What's so bad is that's literally a first-party game for them.
Yeah, I mean, that is Sony.
Also, though, you have to understand, Sony knew that they were going to destroy Microsoft, and they said before their conference that they were actually taking games out of their showcase to show at Gamescom.
I'm fairly certain they took God of War 4 out for that reason, because they didn't.
True. I didn't even think about God of War 4.
But the only thing that the whole E3, the only company that I was disappointed not to see was Polyphony.
Now, I will say, as far as disappointment goes, I won't say that there's any company that I was disappointed not showing up. The company that did show up that I feel like was a disappointment was Nintendo. They literally phoned their conference in. They weren't. It's like they weren't even a presence. And let me give you their lineup, their big announcements this year. Let's see, Star Fox, not new. Metroid Prime Federation Force. This thing looked like they took GoldenEye from the N64, slapped a Metroid skin on it, put it on a portable, and said, "This is our new game."
Yeah, Samus.
There's a new Animal Crossing. Okay, Super Mario Maker is actually really cool. I don't know that I'll ever actually own it. It's a very niche product. There are people that want to build things. They already own Minecraft. They will probably buy Super Mario Maker, and that's great. But it was probably their biggest announcement, and that's just sad. But everything else was Mario and Luigi
with this E3.
and
Didn't
Yoshi.
they come out big with all their
The Amiibos.
Oh,
the
the little
amiibo?
amiibos.
And that's actually
didn't they kind of
they
not
actually
really
did.
focus into that, but that was like one of their big
That's
things,
one of their
right?
big things right now because they're trying to really get into that market.
It's a popular, mommy.
Right.
Popular.
They've seen how well Disney Infinity's done. They've seen how well the Skylanders have done.
Well, and they had a huge announcement with the Skylanders too, and that will sell
Right.
systems. There's going to be 2 Nintendo-only Skylanders, and my sister has already asked me if she should buy a Wii U for that purpose, because of those figure-based games, Skylanders is king.
Well, and I will say that just from talking to people in general since E3, everybody was disappointed by not seeing the Zelda. Everybody was like, "Oh, they came out with a new Zelda for a handheld, and it's a 3-player game that I have to play with people. I'm not gonna play that."
Now, I did think it was kind of interesting they were trying that again, because you and I played Four Swords.
We did play Four Swords, and I actually went out and bought one of the Game Boy SPs just to play that with my Game Boy connected to the GameCube, and I loved it. But I've said it probably to 1 million people at this point. Why can I not play 3DS, 2DS, any DS game on my Wii U? I have a Wii U, and I would play the crap out of it if I could play some of my 3DS games.
Pretty much remote play.
Well, even just remote, like, you don't even have to be remote play. Give me one of the base stations like they did for the Game Boy player on the GameCube.
Plug the game in.
Charge me $100 for that sucker, just like you'd charge somebody $150 for a DS.
Yeah, you mentioned that in another podcast.
You'll still sell the games. It's not like you're going to lessen the amount of portables walking around here just because you can hook it to a TV now. But you have a touchscreen interface. You have the top screen. There's no reason other than they just want to sell portables.
Yeah. Another thing, since we've been talking about, like, of course, the main 3 conferences, we already have mentioned Bethesda a little bit with, of course, Fallout.
Yep.
What about your thoughts on EA and Ubisoft?
EA, this is the year for Star Wars, man. This is... Battlefront is going to be huge.
How they managed to land that contract all those years ago.
And on top of that, IGN, even when they released their top games of the conferences and stuff that people are excited for, of course, Battlefront was number 1.
Well,
after that, I believe, was Fallout.
I want to know how EA managed to keep. I had absolutely no idea, and I know Kevin didn't because he's been following this game like crazy. Up until the Sony conference, I was under the impression that Battlefront was going to be online only.
It was.
True. They did come out and say...
He flat out said it will have a single-player mode. It will not be a campaign.
It will have an offline mode.
It will have an offline mode. And I stopped listening for like 30 seconds when he
said
that.
Yeah, that was the,
I
believe, the Sony's, or was that Microsoft's?
No, I think it was Sony.
Because that's the thing, Battlefront was at every single conference.
Right.
It was at Microsoft.
Each
it was at EA, and it was
right.
Sony.
But what's funny is Microsoft didn't say anything about any exclusive content or having it early or anything of that sort. Nobody claimed anything.
See, and that was my biggest thing. Like, after the Sony conference and they showed Battlefront, I was like, oh, wait, does that mean Battlefront might be a exclusive type thing for PlayStation, have any type of exclusivity? Because the way they made it sound was like that. But we've heard the rumors about the Xbox One consoles that can come out with Battlefront. I don't know if it's still rumors
or something like that.
I think that's the invisible hand of Disney that we see. They're not letting anybody claim anything at E3.
Probably.
I really think that might be the
I will say this, though. All the footage looked amazing. Even just when they did the offline mode with the 2 people, the way that they were using the regular Rebels with jetpacks and the bubble shields and stuff, I thought that was so intense. I could just see myself playing that same mission like 20 million times.
All right, so...
No, I think Ubisoft came out pretty
good this year.
Ubisoft came out really strong with The Division and Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon, and I'm super pumped for Ghost Recon. It being open world, I already have a couple friends that want to play it.
Oh, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Speaking of us, we are Bush League. The Division, the very end of that trailer.
Bring that up, man.
I'm looking at it right now. Actually.
Okay. If
I missed it.
But
watch the trailer. At the end of it, they shouldn't.
Pretty much in the trailer. Pretty much in the trailer, you and your buddies that you team up with and stuff. You guys are about to go take care of these people, loot them, whatever. Do a little mission. Well, they run into another group of people, and you gotta understand it's Destiny, but in Tom Clancy world. But if I see you and we're not like part of the same group, I can take you out and take all your crap.
That's
basically
right. I have seen
two
that.
groups got together. They did the whole story, and at the end of it, it's like, oh.
That's pretty much what happened. Both of them did a stare down, and they were them shot at each other. And was like, oh, they're gonna help us take out this group. Let's do it. They take out the group, do the drop zone, and the guy's like, oh man, I can't get over the fact of, I wonder what these guys have though. Took all their crap, and then right like the last 10 seconds of the drop zone, one of their own members quit the team and shot both of the other members down and took all their stuff and left.
Wow.
Why would they encourage that?
See, honestly, that was horrible of them to do, but you gotta understand that's honest. Because people will do that.
I'm thinking
I
some
mean,
of us in
anybody
this
who's
room will do that.
Anybody watch The Walking Dead? I mean, it's like backstab after backstab after backstab.
I can definitely see, and now that makes me even kind of more excited for the game, because I won't play it as just, a normal shooter. I would think of it as like The Last of Us, but as an MMO. I would be constantly watching my back, looking at every single corner, making sure nobody's just chilling, like, oh, this dude about to go in there and get that thing, huh? Mm-hmm. Go ahead, man, take them all out. Yeah. I'm excited for it. I really am. I've been excited for the last 2 years that they've shown it. It looks gorgeous, and like I said, it's pretty much Destiny as Tom Clancy world.
I think Tom Clancy had a huge year this year. Tom Clancy games in
Tom
general.
Clancy and Square, man.
I mean, there's The Division.
The new Rainbow Six.
There's Rainbow Six Siege.
Yes.
Oh man, don't even.
There's
so much
There's
fun.
what, Wildlands.
I've never been into Rainbow Six
Were you-
until I saw that, and I'm like, wow.
Vegas was great. That's almost like...
And they announced
get-
that terrorist mode or whatever like that, just like we had in Vegas.
Yes, you can get the headset. You can be like, breach brain clear, go in silent, and the two guys that you're basically controlling, you go on the other side of the map, be like, silent, take them out. And they would do it, and you just go in gun blazing.
Yeah.
And-
I love those,
man.
Oh, is that what? I don't know.
No,
if it's
that was
Yeah.
Wildlands.
Well,
Ghost Recon Wildlands. Yeah.
What was interesting to me with Wildlands is you have the option of choosing that. Like, do you want to take out this? Do you want to go into this mission silently?
It's kind of like GTA's heist mode, where it's like, do you want to do it the smart way, or do you just not want to give a crap and just go
blow
guns
everything
blazing?
up.
Yeah.
Right.
I will say this though about Siege. Granted, of course, it looked amazing. I would say last year's footage of it was better, because this year they just did. Of course, they did the 4v4, and it looked great. But last year, I feel like their footage last year was just very strong.
All right. Do we want to talk about the elephant in the room or not?
Not just yet, actually, because because I think I know what you're going to bring up. What we're going to do, my thought process was, we talked about the best stuff. Let's go mediocre. Stuff that wasn't too much talked about, but was still kind of interesting to see. The VR stuff.
Well, if we want to get into hardware,
Let's get into hardware.
I'm ridiculously excited about some of the hardware that's being announced right now. Microsoft HoloLens is a concept that they've been showing for a while. When they actually showed it on a table, regular camera versus what dude's seeing in the HoloLens, it's mind-blowing.
If they can...
And I feel like anybody that doesn't appreciate that, anybody that's not ridiculously excited about that, doesn't understand it. Their brain has not conceived what's actually going on just yet.
Before Matt goes any further into VR, if they can accomplish what we saw, everything else doesn't matter.
You gotta think about though. Those HoloLens will change everything you do.
Well, absolutely.
It's literally augmented reality. That's not virtual reality. You're not stepping into that world. It's actually putting those things
If
into
I
your
wanted,
world.
let's say I wanted to look at Google Street View or something like that, and be like, I want to check out this building.
Yeah,
Put the
did
building on my
everybody-
table with the lens, and be like, oh man, that's a nice house.
Did
I might buy
everybody
that.
here see that part of Microsoft's conference? Do you know
I missed
what we're talking
that.
about?
I missed that.
I didn't see it in the conference, but I have watched a lot of footage.
What he did in the conference, for those of you that didn't see it, he was playing
I didn't make it that
Minecraft.
far. Sony started.
He was playing Minecraft on a virtual television on his wall. And he took it, literally took it, and threw it on a coffee table. And it went 3D, and he could move it, and he can look in it. I mean, it was amazing.
It was not only
It was my
on the coffee table, it was in
It was
the coffee
the
table.
coffee table.
And that's the thing. It's not just for games either. You can do it, like, if I want to look at Facebook, I can put Facebook like just a screen Facebook out in front of me, just be like, granted, you look stupid like that at like a grocery store, be like, oh man, this is a nice banana. Oh wait, I got a notification.
But if this technology is there now,
That's
so
so
in case
cool,
you
though.
like to say this is a nice banana in the middle of a grocery store.
I don't know if you wanted to do that concept very much because we all have some of those friends, and I think all of us are probably one of those friends. You don't want that shit coming out in public, like what we say, like on Snapchat and stuff. You don't want to just throw that up on the freezer door at the grocery store and be like.
Now, what's cool about HoloLens?
Oh, that's a nice picture. Yeah, it is. That's a nice picture. Who is that?
Well, if you want to check Tinder on the
Oh, Jesus.
in the milk section.
You just see some dude walking around with a HoloLens on his face and he's just swiping left. He's like,
Smacking people in the face. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
what are you trying to get in there, Cody?
Well, I just want to add on to something that you guys were saying about that. Only the person wearing the HoloLens can see it, though.
Right.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, so that's not the issue. Well, one of the footages...
They're taking the fun out of it.
Yeah, I know.
Give it
Part of the
time.
footage I saw on it, I
Glad you
want
had
to
to
say
put that in there.
maybe a few weeks ago, like a month ago, was that you could actually do 3D printing from it too. Like you could construct models. Like I watched a video of this woman that works at Microsoft. She created like a helicopter, like a 3D printed helicopter, and printed it out. And I thought that was really awesome.
I mean, you gotta think of it
So-
for not only just that, but it would be the same thing for, let's say, like Google Glass. People bought Google Glass, and it was great for research. With the HoloLens, think of like 3D modeling and stuff. You would see.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I know,
That
but like
changes
for like
everything.
video games and stuff like that, you just be like, turn it.
Yeah.
3D character. Oh man, I can't even
So-
think of the possibilities with it.
Enough of the augmented reality. Matt, get on your soapbox.
All right. For anybody that's scoffing at virtual reality, I am ridiculously excited
Man, Sony's.
for virtual reality. All right, Project Morpheus looks really cool. Now, the reason that looks really cool is because it's going to be directly connected to your PlayStation 4. It's going to be social. It's going to be something that you do share with your friends. Where the Oculus is more of a single experience. You're going to dive into that, and that's your isolation.
Skyrim, son.
No one needs to be that deep into Skyrim.
The Witcher, man.
Dude, you should see it. I've added the nude code.
It's like, man.
I just follow this woman around in third person all day.
Well, my question about
Broadcasting a three-way.
Oculus. My question about the Oculus, and you and I talked about this off mic before, is my concern with glasses.
Apparently, it's designed for people with and without glasses. And apparently, it's really comfortable even with glasses. Reviewers have even said, I wore my glasses, threw it over the top of them, it's fine. It's, apparently they've been developing this for 3 years now. Facebook owns them now. They got plenty of money for research and development. Not that they really need it. They started the dev kits at $300 3 years ago. I almost bought dev kit 2. The only reason I backed off on it was because it's still big and bulky and they were still in the works of it, and it was, I think they were at a 60 frames per second or refresh rate. Now they are at a 75, and the latency is up to ridiculous amounts, to the point where basically the reason that people didn't do VR 10, 20 years ago was because people got sick, literally got sick using it.
That's what I was going to ask. What about the virtual boy effect?
That was going to be my question too. If it was going to bring up like
The reason people got sick before was because our technology hadn't caught up to it. If you moved your head in a virtual reality and you were in isolation and what you were seeing wasn't moving with you, there was that disorientation. There was that basically a forced motion sickness. Well, now the technology is to the point where it literally is one-to-one with how you're moving your head, how you're moving your body, how you're moving your eyes. And when you move a controller, there's no
You
latency.
better be in an empty room and nothing around you.
I remember. No, there's back when 10, 15 years ago when they tried to bring out the virtual reality,
Mm-hmm.
they had the thing you stand in with the little ring around it and everything.
Oh yeah.
And I did notice that someone, and I actually saw this on Shark Tank before it even hit E3, and I only saw it on the Snapchat. I don't really know what it's a VirtuX Omnitron or something. I forgot what the name of it was. But yeah, but it's the same thing. It's the ring and everything like that. And they brought it to Shark Tank, And of course, Shark Tank turned it down because gamers are lazy. Which I disagree with that.
I
somewhat.
don't disagree with that. We are lazy.
Well,
We are lazy.
because there's nothing that's been there. I bet you if virtual reality came out affordably.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The Oculus Dev Kit 2 was $300. The final product they haven't actually released a price for, but they're also packaging it complete with an Xbox One controller. So I can see them bumping it up $50, either calling it $350 or even $400. The thing with game consoles is they come out at the price they do because that's the price they think we'll pay for it, and they're expecting to recoup on software.
Yeah, consoles are subsidized.
Yeah.
Oculus, they are going to have software written specifically for Oculus. I'm not sure how they're going to do that or how they're going to recoup the cost, but I don't see them coming out with anything larger than a $400 price point, because who's going to buy a console for $400 and then attach, say, the Project Morpheus on those PS4? Who's going to pay $500 for the glasses? Nobody. If they come out for more than $400, nobody's going to buy it, and their price point's going to kill them.
That's like this thing that I saw when they, again, I saw most of it on Shark Tank. I didn't see really a lot of it on E3, but you had to have special shoes for it, and I think that they were going to sell it somewhere around $1,200.
Yeah, it's.
But it was a
Well, with the
for it
Oculus,
being a contained thing and things like that, and actually being able to walk and move and stuff, I think it's a good idea. But $1,200, you're gonna have to.
well, that who has room for it?
Do you think the Oculus
people.
is going to be held back by the fact that it has to be connected to a powerful machine?
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Oculus is somewhat self-contained in the fact that it comes with its own tracking camera. The headset is all one piece, and then there's the controller for it. Now, the biggest thing they've come out and said, they said, have no doubt you will need a powerful computer to hook this up to, because it does not hook up to a game system like Morpheus will. It does not hook up to your Xbox One directly. Now, what they're doing is they're using the power of Windows 10 and game streaming from the Xbox One to a PC. And what they're going to do is you're basically going to be able to play Xbox One games through streaming from your Xbox One to your PC, as long as you have a powerful enough PC. They have come out and said, have no doubt, if you're buying an Oculus, you are buying this because you have a computer that can play video games. If you have a little $300 computer that you surf the internet with, you are not hooking Oculus up to this thing.
And to go back to you with the glasses and everything, I remember after the Sony conference, if you were watching the YouTube stream, the very first thing that they showed after the PlayStation conference was the VR and their final product of it. Mm-hmm. And they mentioned the fact that they've spent most of their time between the second one and the final product was just the adjustments. You have adjustments for every single type of face that you have, because every face is different.
Right.
And so if you have glasses, you just go, boom.
Unfortunately, I missed most of the VR. Real life kind of got in the way. My other question for Matt, and well, it does. It happens. Real life happens. For Chris and Matt, in a perfect world, let's say all things are the same. Take HoloLens out of the equation, because we all agree that's something entirely different.
Right.
All things the same, price, everything the same. Morpheus or Oculus?
That's a good question.
I will say this: whenever I game, most of the time I'm by myself. Just to be honest, I'm playing like by myself in a room. With the Morpheus, from what I've seen, I don't know if it has to be a same room experience where you have to be next to that person. But with the Rift, I believe that would be more for me because of the fact that it's a solo experience.
Well,
and if it's too early to ask that question, that's fine.
It's really too early because Morpheus is designed for the PlayStation 4. It's not designed for computer games. It's not designed for anything else. Now, what I want to know is, are they going to, like, with the Oculus Rift, for instance, people wrote programs to where you could walk into a virtual movie theater and sit down and watch a movie in the Oculus Rift, but it looked like you were in a movie theater. What I want to know is, am I going to be able to watch movies around my face? That's what I want. I want to like dive in. I want to have a movie.
Could you imagine Mad Max?
Right. Like,
Dude,
I want to
would
see
be
these
like the first 5 minutes.
Right.
Would be intense.
I want to see these big epic experience movies. and not porn because Kevin's laughing.
So kind
No
of.
one wants to see.
So you're thinking of like
porn,
you're
Kevin.
thinking of like the
Well,
U.S.
let's not say no one.
Let's
Let's
not
not rule
say-
out everything.
No one wanted to see HD porn.
But I mean, you're thinking of like a big action film, for instance, at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center's IMAX. How it's so big that you have to be like, oh snap.
Right,
going
but
on
the
over
problem
here? You
there
want
is
that,
the
but-
problem there is their sound's horrible. Their projectors are horrible.
Well, no, I know
Not
that,
all
but you want
curved IMAX is
that type
horrible.
of.
The one in Huntsville is
Yeah,
horrible.
right.
No,
I don't even go there anymore.
I'm just mentioning the fact that like that way where you have
But
to
yes,
actually move your head to
That
be like,
kind
oh,
of
snap.
experience. Like
Yeah.
there are movies that are meant to be experienced. Mad Max is one of them. Interstellar's another. Gravity. Oh my God! If I could watch Gravity in the Oculus Rift, I might throw up in my.
I'm in space. Oh my God!
But I'm saying there are some movies that are meant to be
I
experienced.
think
So
Jurassic World would have been better in that
right.
experience.
So I can't help but wonder: are they going to make some
I'll be
kind
crying.
of media player that way? Because how awesome would that be?
They have to.
Just think of it,
How
Kevin.
would you film?
Let's
Think
I
of it.
wanna
If
watch
you actually
so much
saw
stuff
Darth
with
Vader
it.
in front of you, you would piss your pants.
He probably
It'd be like, oh, Dad.
Could you just see Kevin like with the things on, and he's sitting there like, and Darth just shows up. He's like,
Well, here's the problem. I went and
he's
saw.
Like, is he
with
watching
his-
porn?
He
Not
watched
Star
it with his
Wars.
lightsaber in his hand. You see him swinging it around.
I went and saw episode 1 at the Space and Rocket Center. I actually had to leave. And I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Probably not as bad as this man, but close. And you're looking at adding that to the Oculus Rift where you have to turn your head. Think about that with a large space battle with ships going from side to side. I mean, I almost lost my lunch watching episode 1.
Man, your neck would
On
be so
curved
tired. You'd be
streams.
like, ah.
but are they going to run into the Virtual Boy problem to where you have nausea, where you have seizures, where you have stuff? Is that going to become a problem?
Well, yeah, you shouldn't have any more seizures than you would have if you were watching an episode of Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be the same.
Or
I
Same
mean,
warnings they would
with the
anything
same-
else.
If you
Okay.
convulse from your super in Destiny, you'll probably convulse from something in the Oculus Rift.
because that's
Otherwise,
more a
No.
image refresh rate issue. That's not a
Right,
immersion
image refresh
issue.
rate issue is not an issue anymore. The
Not as
technology in these is so advanced that it's like some of the higher end TVs you get now.
I would think some of this would be eyesight.
Well, yeah,
Because
Well-
whenever 3D first came out, people said if you bought one of the TVs and all the active shutterness, you go 10 years from now, if you kept watching, you can go blind.
Well, Matt and I have actually learned a lot about the nausea thing. We have a friend
That's
with
like,
Tourette's.
I mean, I
When
bought
we
one
went,
too.
when we got off of CRTs and went to LCDs and plasmas, a lot of the seizure problems went away because
Right.
they're not truly refreshing anymore. They're just displaying images. It's more colors now.
It's less of an image projected onto your eyes as much as it is an image that you're viewing.
Yeah, like people suffer from epilepsy.
All right.
Now, here, okay, aside from which conference you liked, the hardware, any software, any of that, what were some things you guys might have been surprised by? Chris, what's a game you didn't even think about that you watched at A3 and you were like, oh, I'm buying that?
For Honor.
What?
The For Honor. It's the game.
I was like, the Toyota?
No, it's the game that started off the EA conference.
Yes.
I've been wanting ever since Star Wars Jedi Academy playing multiplayer. Even though I was just mainly by myself playing against 10 robots, or they're whatever they call them, and then also playing Halo 3 with just swords. I want that. I want that close quarter sword combat.
Good sword battle.
Man, it was awesome.
Wait, I have one somewhere.
And-
An inflatable one.
What? Anyways,
Yeah.
when I saw it,
Wait.
the fact that it's technically a war going on, and you have different modes. Of course, you have your domination type of style. You have your elimination type of style. But you go into the combat and you can take out all the computer little guys if you want. And just wait for someone to come after you, or you can go hunting. And whenever you go into a 1v1 or 2v1 type of combat, everything changes around the game. The camera style changes, and you enter what they call the art of war. fighting style where the left stick apparently controls your. Fuck.
Before we derail Chris too bad.
Where the left stick controls where you hold the sword, like for blocking and everything, your right stick controls where you aim the sword. So if I'm aiming my right stick towards the right side of your body, then whenever I attack, I'm going to attack towards that side. And it's technically a duel between you and the other person, and who's the better fighter. It's not more of just like, yo, let me press this trigger a couple times. It's a whole type of tactic that you have to go against. And it gets really intense whenever it's 2v1. Because you'll fight someone out of nowhere, someone comes swinging, you have to be able to react in order to stay alive. And I was just blown away by it.
The game that came out of nowhere for me was World of Final Fantasy. I didn't see that coming.
I can't say I'm excited about it, though.
I am. Just because they're chibi characters does not mean, you know this as well as anybody, it does not mean it's going to be a kid's game. And
it is a kid's game. They literally have said it's for a new generation to become interested in Final Fantasy.
They said that about Kingdom Hearts as well, and we all know where that ended up. But that's what I will be buying that. I don't care if it's for 8-year-olds.
Well, being a fan of the Killzone franchise, I will say that Horizon was out of left field. And I was blown away.
Bam. That game looked awesome.
Right.
I love the fact that it has more of that Indian Native American type of feel, but it's against robots. So it's like they're starting all over again, but they're going against robots. I thought that was just a cool concept.
The only concern I have about that is, from a storyline point of view, how are they going to justify hunting robot dinosaurs?
Think of it like Revolution, the show, but mixed with Terminator. They had to start all over from scratch.
What was the movie Cowboy versus Aliens and stuff like that? I mean, they just came from out of nowhere.
It just works.
It may just work.
Something that we haven't seen in a while that I was surprised by: Hitman.
They needed to redo that.
I kind of expected that with the movie coming.
But it looks so good.
I will say, though, that I am excited about them coming out with a new Hitman. It being technically a reboot, I don't think really needed to happen because the last Hitman came out 3 years ago? Maybe 4 at max. So it hasn't really been that long to really make it a reboot. But doesn't take the fact away that it looks awesome.
And the fact that it looks like you can literally kill somebody any way you want.
Nice.
There is no set path in this game. You choose the contract, and you choose how to do it. If you want to poison them, poison them. If you want to smother them with a pillow, smother them with a pillow. You want to take them out with a loud-ass gun? Do that. Silence? Do that. Whatever you want.
All right, so we... Oh, go ahead.
Before we get into that, I did want to mention, I don't know if any of y'all here play the Old Republic. Thank you for mentioning that to me, Chris. I didn't see it.
Oh, it did look amazing.
It looked cool, man.
I can't bring myself to pay for it.
The Fallen Empire, because I saw that, and I saw the trailer, I was like... Because, dude, they went after Republic. They went after the Empire. Or the old Empire back then. And I was like, wait a minute. And then he tried to kill him. And then dude killed his brother. I was like, what is this?
Now, even though this might change the topic a little bit, I've always enjoyed the Old Republic cinematics. And they've made the Final Fantasy films based on just, the games. Why haven't I seen a cinematic film of the Old Republic? That needs to happen. I would see that.
Yeah.
I agree with that, but that's a licensing issue right now.
And I don't think
so. All right.
Yeah.
Before we cut on the closer, I also want to point out: did anybody else watch the Recore?
It looked
the
okay.
Preview for Recore.
I don't know.
I'm excited about that. Also, is it just me? Okay. Has anybody else played any of the Just Cause games?
I'm going to say no.
Just Cause 3
It
looks like
awesome.
Everything I wanted the Mercenaries game to be.
Yeah.
Every single time I bought one. I was like, this is the game that I wish all these stupid action
It looks like Saints Row
games.
mixed with
Right.
Mercenaries.
Right.
And Mercenaries 2 was horrible. I only like the first one. It's like, oh man, look at this cool 12-story building.
Yeah.
Done.
I bought
You
Mercenaries
destroyed
2 strictly
anything,
off of how
man.
good the first one was, and I was so disappointed.
So, okay, tried to start this a couple of times. We did say something about the elephant in the room for all of our listeners. Something that just because all of us started playing Destiny. That's how we all got going, how we got started. And this has rubbed us the worst way possible that I think anything could ever rub someone some way ever. So Destiny released that they are going to come out with a new DLC.
Fallen King.
And it's going to be if you want the best version or whatever, it's $80.
And you have to rebuy everything you've already bought.
Well, here's the problem.
GameStop trading credit, only spend $40 and you got the whole thing.
So
basically,
Taken King. For some reason, I was thinking Fallen King because it has cut me at the knees, and I've fallen.
I'm done.
Uh,
They're gonna have to change a lot.
So
before it comes out.
basically, it's like you need to take your original copy of Destiny,
Trade it in
expansions, trade it in to get those same games back,
right.
plus some added content.
That is
some-
the discussion right now.
Some added content.
Here's the problem we have. So for $40, you can buy it digitally, or you can get a physical copy for $60, or $80 if you want the limited edition, or collector's edition rather. $60 being the only way, the cheapest way to buy it disc-based or in a store rather. That includes the original and the 2 expansions that we all already own.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about how they have 2 million players, this many, however many players that are on it all the time. The thing is, those people have already paid for this game.
See, a lot of people said that with House of Wolves, because people believe that Destiny was over with even before House of Wolves even released because people stopped playing it.
I haven't even
But
I haven't even played House of Wolves.
You haven't yet, but you will eventually. I know.
Well,
But-
here's the thing with House of Wolves for me.
I will say this. Granted, I don't agree with their $40 price tag. But I'm actually more disappointed of just the $80 price tag of it because for the Legendary Edition, because I spent $90 on the game last year for the Digital Guardian Edition, and I feel like if you spent $90 last year, you shouldn't have to spend $40 for this. If you bought the game outright, that's your fault. You should have spent extra money when you had the chance to buy the expansion plus thing.
Me and Matt, before the show, we were talking about this, and we were kind of, let's say doing some math on it. And for one game, you're ranging at spending anywhere from $130 to $160
About.
for one game. Now, I understand, I think we talked about this in a show before. DLCs are going to come out, and they're going to find their way to make money. But, I mean, that's about getting about as ridiculous gets. $130, $60, whatever, for one game, when, like we talked about before, if they were going to do something like this, you should have given us at least the House of Wolves in the first game.
Right.
That should not have been a DLC. I don't care. Anybody that plays Destiny listening, I don't care what you tell me. That should have been part of the game from the jump.
Well, my issue with this expansion, I was on the fence about it anyway. Everybody was excited about Taken King, and all I saw was more of the same. And then they came out with price, and I'm like, you know what? I'm done. Absolutely done. One of the only reasons I am playing still is I have nothing else to play.
Sorry.
No, it's not you. And I told Matt this. The only reason I got this expansion, the current expansion, is because that was the only way I could buy it. Was both of them. I didn't have a choice.
But I'll say this. I feel like they knocked it out of the park with House of Wolves. I think House of Wolves is a great DLC. I can play it all the time and never have really truly a problem with it other than the fact that I get queen weapons all the time from the chest. But other than that, if they put a $40 price tag on just a DLC, I feel like it's going to be ridiculous. We're going to have our subclasses, finally, and they all look amazing. And on top of that, you get a whole new enemy. So you might also get a new world on top of that.
All right.
Yeah.
And I mean, hey, it's opinions. I understand, but our time is coming to an end, and like I promised y'all, we're not gonna leave this on a sad note. We're gonna go on a high note here. So, Cody, since you're beside me, what was your most excited moment of E3?
Honestly, out of everything I heard about this year, Final Fantasy VII just ridiculous. It blew me away. I watched that trailer in my car last week.
Probably should have nicked it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I had the biggest nerdgasm. It was really ridiculous. I'm glad I was by myself and nobody was watching.
Oh, thanks.
Because I was in a public parking lot, but there was nobody around, so that's good. But I've just been waiting on that ever since I played it. Because I mean, it came out in '97. Always been a huge fan of that game. It's always been like one of my most favorite things ever, and they're finally doing it. It's just
All right,
Good
Matt.
deal, man.
can't wait for it.
I'm gonna have to pick a favorite for
No, just one.
three areas. I'm gonna have to go with Bethesda, Xbox, and Sony. Bethesda, of course, Fallout. I already have my Pit-Boy on order.
Of course you do.
Xbox One. I'm excited about the Gears of War Ultimate Edition. They're re-releasing all the originals to prepare us for the fourth one. Ready for that. Y'all don't like third-person shooters? Love it.
Got nothing to do with
I
third-person
love
shooters.
Gears.
I'm just
I
tired
love
of all
Gears,
these
but-
rehashes.
Well, Gears ruined me on the shotgun thing, but we'll talk about that's a whole nother. We'll talk about that later.
Logs,
And
blogs,
Sony,
blogs.
that's hard. Where I am excited about Final Fantasy VII. That's gonna be a while. Right now, I'm excited about Uncharted 4 and The Last Guardian.
All right, Santi.
HoloLens, to be honest. That's really... Yes, everything looked good. Everybody did well except Nintendo. They really dropped the ball, but HoloLens took the show for me, period. That's all I can say.
Gizmo.
Well, I'm gonna take my say. I'm gonna do two. Final Fantasy, because it's something that I played. Literally had this thick of a strategy guide. For those people who can't see me, my fingers are pretty.
Yeah, it's back there.
I'm sure Matt's got his wall of stuff somewhere.
My fingers are pretty far apart. You can't see it, but yeah. And literally, by the time I finished, it was 200 some hours to get everything in that game, and there was still stuff that I didn't do. And of course, Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Because I like third person, and I love how they're doing that. Because if it was a first person shooter in Star Wars, I would be so mad. I'm hoping they do something with Force users.
Chris.
It's kind of like Old Republic.
Oh gosh,
Are you just gonna say what everyone else said in Bethesda? And
no. I'm sorry. I have to go with multiples. I have to.
just
Just
make it
be
a
quick.
couple.
Be quick about it.
She said.
1 minute.
If I had to go with number one, I would have to probably go with No Man's Sky because it's endless. I can see myself playing that game for absolutely no reason and just sticking to it for 8 hours and wake up the next day and be like, what did I even do? Oh, I identified fish.
That's
cool.
a good gaming experience, actually.
Yeah.
If you can do
Right.
that. If you can do that. If they can pull that off, we'll be good.
Fallout 4, because when I saw him went from a regular pistol to an assault rifle from all the modifications, I was blown away. And then if I had to pick a new game that I haven't seen before, I have to go with For Honor. That just looked amazing, and it's been on pretty much every website's choice of one of the biggest surprises this year.
Randall, you haven't said much, but
Well, unfortunately, I didn't get to watch it. But my
From what you've
favorite
heard.
part is seeing y'all's little faces light up like y'all finally found a damn match on Tinder.
That's such a dad answer.
oh man.
Bros.
And I'm gonna go with Kevin, man. Just that Star Wars just looks. I mean, that's gonna be the game. I can't wait.
I was just telling him that was not my number 4.
That's, yeah. So all right, well,
I had like 10.
everyone, we appreciate you tuning in. Again, we'll finish it like I always do. Email us, BushLeagueGeek@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @BushLeagueGeek. Hit us up on Facebook.
Spread the word.
Let us know what you think. If you're listening, we, or the majority of us, are going to be at HammerCon this weekend, coming up weekend. So if you want to say hey to us, you should
Hit us up on Twitter. Hit
hit
us
us
up
up.
on the Facebook
Exactly.
page.
And we'll let you know where we're going to be. All right, till next time.
Excelsior.